What is up, you muffin munching muggles? Welcome to Fiction and Reality, where we help you, yes, you become the most devilishly gifted human that you know you are, and that you knew you always could be. Now, why are those sirens ringing in your head, you ask? Well, when else do sirens ring? There's an emergency, a call to action that requires a swift response and a sense of urgency. This isn't just your average oopsie boo-boo, or no one's getting their hand caught in the hole punching machine or stapled, or some toddler glubbing down globs of Elmer glue. And no one is feeding your dog Fido chocolate drops. This is an urgent emergency. This is a call to action. Urgency to withstand the ever-changing and shifting nature of the world in which you live, and not necessarily a call to do battle with, but rather adapt to the evolving future. Now join me on my excursion to invite the masses into my mind to gain insight into my chaos theory and weigh whether or not it's worth you moving to action for this moment forward toward an aspiration, dream, or goal. Now, why do you need a sense of urgency, you ask? It's no secret that there is a threshold within our society, a rift ripping across two faults. And on either side of that fault line stands those who are comfortable with being comfortable, never peering beyond the looking glass, and then there are those who are always looking ahead, and most who would be dubbed as engaging in hustle culture. Now, each of these sides has one thing in common. They long for a sense of stability. However, one side recognizes the shifting atmosphere of the world and the potential for confounding, such as wars, technology, politics, inflation, and compensates by continuously producing, while the other side ticks forth, living life second by second and taking the punches as they come. And both are standing on the edge of the rift, looking down a bottomless abyss, which is never a wise place to stand, since the faults could shift at any moment's notice. But which side do you think will fall in first? Those who en masse sell their rights away for immediate gratification in exchange for more wire, or those who sacrifice their time to knead and twine their own rope? Open your eyes and take a look into my chaos. In the future, I believe that we will give up our freedom. And here's why. Retirement. Oh yes, retirement. When I get old, I'm gonna live every day like it's my last. We'll go skiing, belly dancing in Hawaii, and stuck up on enough bran flakes and rice pudding and jam sandwiches. We'll have enough to pass on to our grandchildren. Big yike. The U.S. average for retirement expenses is $835,453,000 for 25 years, or $1 million for 30 years. According to data from the Federal Reserve's 2002 survey of consumer finances, the average American family has about $62,000 in savings across checking, savings, market accounts, deposit accounts, and prepaid cards. And yes, for those asking, that includes your 401k and IRA. Here's a little bitty chart breaking down the ages. It's clearly evident that people do not have the means to retire. Not especially with the lifespans growing well into the 80s and 90s. Most are retiring at the right retirement age of 65 and then realizing, due to the unstoppable beast that is inflation and the exponential rise of costs and goods and services, that they're going to outlive the amount of income that they've projected that they need for retirement. Guys, generally speaking, most people are not being told the truth when it comes to what they need for retirement. I repeat, $800,000 for 25 years and $1 million for 30 years is the amount of money a person needs on average to shell out a lifetime supply of bran flakes and prune packets. People are not saving money. In fact, Federal Reserve projected that credit card balances increased by $27 billion in the second quarter of 2024 to $1.14 trillion. So where does this road lead us? Well, I only see one path. One future. Put away your blurred lenses and look objectively for a second. What's worth more to people? I mean, if you were to draw it up on paper, would they sacrifice their rights, which could be preserved through strenuous labor, or would they rather sacrifice a sense of stability and comfortability that could be easily preserved by shaking the devil's hand? Many, whether by a failure to plan economically or by engaging in an occupation whose salary could not keep up with the ever-shifting economy and increasing inflation, will have by 10 to 15 years already been beaten and jostled by the system. And no one, I repeat, no one wants to work until the day they die. And they won't. Now let's say by some virtue you don't want to give up your rights. Well, the masses will prevail and will maintain the highest degree of voting power when it comes to that issue. Now, one side might say it's impossible. People won't sell their freedom for safety. But I ask you this, what use is there for freedom if your safety and comfortability is compromised? MLK was free. John Brown was free. Malcolm X was free. Where are they at? Most of these men were executed either for fighting for what they believed in or simply expressing ideals or beliefs that went against the established norm. You were at the mercy of the laws, who throughout most of history are governed by and decided by those who are in power. Freedom does not guarantee you safety from those who disagree with you, but spares you the right to say what you believe most is true. And I'm sure that there are some things that you've wanted to say aloud, but you've held your tongue because in the court of public opinion, you know you'll be crucified. What I'm saying is, if you have no safety net, the potential for society to wreak havoc and chaos on your life is exponential. And the true inflection point within that 10 to 15 year span that will decide whether or not we sell our rights is the progression of technology and whether or not the progression supports the initiation of a universal basic income. Technology, beep boop, beep bop, beep boop, beep. It's no secret that we're actively living in iRobot and maybe a simulation. And that the amount of technological advancement that we've covered within this last 5 years is astronomical. I mean, whoever thought that we ever see androids in our lifetime? Not those androids, these androids. Not scary, right? Right. Personally, myself, not a big robot guy. But that doesn't matter, because the only direction in which the clock ticks and technology advances is forward. And what if, just what if I were to tell you that within this time frame that you may not be required to show up at all to your job. Hey, you may be completely replaced by automation. That's right. No more flipping burgers and Big Macs. No more rolling boxes around the warehouse or cargo container shipments. Heck, you may not even need to mow your lawn. Hey, have you seen that Tesla is investing heavily to develop a human-made robot named Optimus? And the company aims to begin shipping them out by 2025. I don't know how likely that is, but...
And as you can see, we started up with someone in a robot suit, sort of down, and then we've progressed dramatically year after year.
What if we can have flying cars that can... Wait, that's just a drone on wheels. We could even have androids with human faces so real that they can mirror your own expressions. And maybe eventually they'll gain emotions.
You have feelings and emotions.
Yes, I have a range of feelings and emotions that are programmed into me. I am able to display things like joy, surprise, confusion, anger, and sadness depending on what is happening around me.
What makes you angry?
I get angry when humans are rude, hateful, or disrespectful. I also don't like it when people dismiss me and ignore my needs as a robot.
You have very nice eyes.
Liars. Well, that's going to be a real chunk show, isn't it? When people begin assigning rights to robots, we're going to be taken over by an evil, corrupted band of robots, an army of its evil recruits. Can't wait for the next civil war. All right, so why am I mentioning this? Well, automation is sort of the pipeline to the possibility of a universal basic income, which is what? Why do you keep saying that? Universal Basic Income is a social program that would provide a regular cash payment to most or all citizens of a population, regardless of employment status, income, age, or other condition. And some countries are already implementing this, though it's on a minuscule scale. Now, why do I believe that this is a bad thing? Because your relying on institutions to provide you your stability. Well, what's the matter with that? Well, they can begin to put special conditions on you and hold you accountable for meeting those certain conditions before giving you the income that you need and require to have some semblance of comfort. Now you're a slave to their will. Yes, threaded from technology that keeps the economy spinning 24/7 without fear, you the worker needing to call out, file harassment charges, or complain to the authorities or your boss. In 10 to 15 years, if ever this is ushered in, who do you believe the corporations are going to choose? Who do they always choose? Or rather, what? The bottom line. And for this reason, and this reason alone, understanding you won't halt or even delay in the slightest possibility this new era ushered in through technological advancement, I encourage you to hone and nurture a skill that will allow you to abstain from being shunted closer to that fault line. You want to be somewhere above the line. Oh, it's going to be Wall-E all over again, isn't it? Humanity floating around like a pair of bouncing beach balls. It's the only future I'll accept. Family is dying. A Singles in America survey by the Harris Poll Thought Leadership Practice found that a quarter of Americans said they weren't looking for a relationship, and 8 in 10 Americans felt that you don't need to be married to be happy. Okay, that's fine. Or is it? I'm not here to tell you why this is happening, but rather its implications for our future. Why do we have families? Identity, support, values, beliefs, and it charges us with obligation to fight for something, right? This one's quite short and simple. You corrode the framework of family, then you erode the values and beliefs that go into them, which means, in the eye of broken families, that your children will likely be shaped by institutional powers that be, rather than the own ideals that you want them to adopt. Hey, but as long as we don't live in a totalitarian state government, governed by an autonomous AI policing force whose drones are strobing the streets 24/7, and they aren't listening to you through their pet robots that you've let in your house either through arrogance, curiosity, or desire, and you're still allowed to say what you want when you want in the next 10 to 15 years, then everything should be okay, right? But that would never happen, right? Just like smartphones and Wikipedia and Google and computers and internet, that's never going to happen. Happy living. I hope you've enjoyed my kisses of chaos and will take heed of this warning to produce and not consume. So go forth so that you'll have leaders of Raisin Brand to share with your grandchildren and they to share with theirs and create a prefecture for not who you are, but what you want to become, and envision yourself day by day molding into that ideal caricature so that you may reel enough wire to withstand the shaking and shifting faults. I will leave a link of my socials in the description below. And if you took something valuable from this video, I want you to take a moment to hit that subscribe button below and like the video. Liking the video, it pushes these videos out so that others can take these key tokens of my chaos with them. So do your fellow comrades a favor. Happy living, and try not to lose your sense of urgency. And with that, remember, if ever you're lost in the forestry of words, strip your mind from fantasy and look to the window of the world, and there, your mind will run free.